Hey, Ashley. I'm
Hi,
Jensen.
how are you?
Doing well.
Where are you right now? Are you in Delaware or are you
I am in
traveling the
Delaware
world?
at my parents' house. We were just in Michigan, so we literally just landed. And I am in the downstairs porch of my parents' house.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Yeah,
It's very very sweet of them to allow you access to the porch.
it really is.
Yeah, that's
It
very
The
good.
really-
downstairs porch.
Yeah. The nice thing is, if I was doing this at like my house, I would be in like the lighting would be horrible, and they have this like whole studio with lighting, so I don't have to worry
I was going
about
to say, it
it.
Yeah.
looks very professionally lit.
The lighting is
I'm
It
like
is.
covered next
It
to a
is.
lamp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could not do this.
Me
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put all of my we have a little pod with our kids and then
Yeah.
some neighboring kids, and I also happen to be in charge of them right now with no help. So I was like,
That's
guys,
fun.
who wants to play video games? So
Right.
they're playing video games right now, and that will last all night. So I'm
Right.
hey,
Right, 'cause you're going
Mom.
out after this.
Yes. But I'll go out through the window so they don't see me leave.
Smart move, pal. Smart move.
Hey, Jared.
What's up, Jared?
Hey, can you see me? Hi, guys.
Oh
Hi.
my God, it's so good to see you.
You look like you're in a trailer.
Don't lie. I am in a trailer. I'm in between scenes. So,
Are you wearing a supernatural jacket on the set of Walker, Texas Ranger?
of course I am.
It's confusing.
I have to represent, man. I have to. It didn't, honest to God, this is day 4. It didn't feel right to show up to the new set without something from Supernatural. So I've been wearing like Supernatural shirts and stuff. It's just like, in case y'all didn't know, I'm going to drop my own name. Very douchey. Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
Senator.
how are you?
Hello,
Hi.
Senator. How are you?
Oh.
You're muted.
Oh, yeah.
No. There you go.
Here we are.
There we go.
Hi.
There it is.
Thank you both so much for making time to talk to 3 actors on a strange little show. We're so grateful. It's
Strange show. It's pretty popular, I would say.
well, yeah.
What I do is strange. Not what you.
Okay, fair. Let's
Arguably,
not,
yes.
let's
Yes.
not get in an argument right at the outset
You
here.
got to be a little strange to go into politics.
I think a little crazy to do any kind of public
Hold on,
forum.
I
You
just
got to
go
be a
in.
little
Go ahead, keep
above.
going.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Where are y'all? You've been traveling, right, Ashley?
We were just in Michigan, which was great. I was in Detroit and Lansing.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a social worker, so I met with community leaders at a church to hear their concerns and, you know, people from the community, which was really wonderful. So it was a good day. We literally just got in, and now here I am.
Wait, where are you now?
I'm in Delaware. My parents outside on their porch.
Do they not let you in the house?
They don't.
Is that the kind of people they are?
Yeah, they really don't let me in. So I stay kind of relegated to the downstairs porch.
Mine don't either. So
Yeah.
Senator, where are we talking to you?
I'm in Minneapolis. I just came from northern Minnesota, which was something. We did 4 outdoor events, and it was 16-degree wind chill.
Oh,
Don't y'all have some bizarrely early snow there, Senator? I thought I heard something about snow.
Yeah,
maybe
just
like-
snow on the ground. Yep. It was fun. It's just so funny because the people are trying to look excited, but they're like this. It was a little different than when I was in Florida. So
Yeah, more of a frozen grimace than yeah.
Nice of them to put on airs for you, though. That's very kind of them.
we did just have this crazy thing, and I have to get it out of my mind. So we had the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. You know how there's all these voting cases, and they just ruled an hour ago after we told Minnesota voters for 6 months they can postmark their ballots that they couldn't. And they're going to have to get their ballots in by, it's really bad.
No, they can't.
Oh, they can't.
It's
Oh,
really
no.
conservative judges. And the court had said it was fine. And there's 350,000 ballots in people's hands right now that say it's fine to postmark by election day.
So they can't
That's,
do
and it's virtually impossible to get that message out to everyone.
We're now, I wrote a tweet, like, I'm not going to do it on the show because who knows what happens. It goes to the Supreme Court tomorrow. But I'm doing TV tonight on Cuomo on it. But we've just got to tell everyone they have to vote in person. Like, you're going to have to bring your ballot in. We got a lot. Minnesota did so much. We have the highest voter turnout in the country. So they didn't always vote by mail. They always voted in person. So they just have to learn to go do that right now because they have a ballot in their hands, 350,000 voters. That's
What a great indicator of just how passionate the voter base is to know that in Minnesota that's experiencing even colder than normal late October weather, y'all are still number one in voter.
Well, we have been number one. I don't know what's going to happen now.
Well,
yeah.
still,
I think actually, Jared and Jensen, I think Texas is vying for that slot right now.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, we should talk about that.
We should.
Even though you have one ballot box per county.
Yeah. What are those lines like? Days?
I mean, I just went and voted in person, and I walked right in, walked right up, did my vote, and walked right out. And there was nothing, there was no hassle, there was no line, there was no nothing. And it's just, I mean, I think a lot of the fear, a lot of it's out there, and there are lines, but I feel like if you just, like, we just went across town and went to one that's not right next to us. We're like, where's the place that we think is going to be the least amount of people at? And we actually had a friend who had just gone there, and they were like, come here right now. There's no one here. So that helps too.
And they're all, as long as you're in the right state, you're okay. So
yeah.
We just found a place there wasn't a line.
Yeah.
And here we have 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I think we have, I mean, Ackles, you probably know this too. I think we have 40 or 50 spots here in and around Austin. So, I mean, there's one ballot box in Travis County and one ballot box in Hayes County and Bear County and all that. But as far as going in, we do have 12-hour days. And I know here, you know, I'm in between scenes right now shooting Walker, but we're doing truncated hours on voting day so that those who haven't been able to either mail in their ballot or vote early, they're going to have a chance to go vote. And we're making that very crucial and critical, especially because this year has been very interesting.
I love your state. You know, there's this whole Minnesota had LBJ and Hubert Humphrey, and there's all this back and forth with our states. And that's where I endorsed Joe at that big rally in Dallas. That was so fun, right before Super Tuesday. Yeah, it was amazing.
How cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean, I think it's just like such an incredibly rare opportunity that we have two people who have such insight into the man who's running for president right now. And there's this phrase that keeps being refrained in the election. The character of the nation is on the ballot. And I think that's incredibly true. I was sort of grasping at straws of like, what's the parallel between Supernatural and the presidential campaign? But one of the things is the characters on our show, the three of us, the characters that we played, were just fighting for the forces of good, no matter what. And I get the sense that Joe Biden is that way as well. But perhaps I'm mistaken, and you both know him well. Ashley, obviously a little better, but Senator, you were on the campaign trail with both Biden and Harris, and got to know them well, I'm sure, when you were on the campaign trail. Can you offer insight into into the kind of person Joe Biden is?
Yeah, I mean, he is, and Ashley should probably go first.
No, go ahead, Senator.
All right. Well, I got to work with him, of course, in the Senate. And I remember one time as a brand new senator, I'm giving this speech to an empty chamber. There's no one in it. It's late at night. And I walk out of there and my cell phone rings. And I think, well, maybe it's my mom who saw me give the speech. And it was Joe Biden. It was Joe Biden. He's like the only, and he says, great speech. Great speech. And that's just the kind of person he is. He is just so kind and he goes out of his way. And I think that sense of empathy is missing in such a big way right now in the White House, this sense of compassion. And some of it is the tragedies he's gone through in his life makes him understand that you can pick yourself up. And that's what so many Americans are trying to do right now with this pandemic, isolated in their houses, balancing their kids on their knees and their laptops on their desks, just trying to get by for a day at work. It's happening everywhere. And so one, I love the compassion, but I also like the competence, because no matter if someone's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent, they want us to get through this as a team. And what Joe does that's so great is that he gets the best people around him and he figures out a plan like he has on this pandemic, and he gets it done. And that's just what we need. Just when you put away everything else and all the mean tweets and all the stuff you see on TV, we've got to get through this as a team, and we can't waste our time dividing anymore. We just have to move forward.
Yeah. Any further insights?
Yeah. Well, I was, yeah.
You know, Dad is ever present, right? He has always shown up. I mean, so it feels kind of weird, right? Going on and talking about how great your dad is. However, because it feels like you're trying to sell it, but I adore my father, adore my dad. And, you know, he has shown up, for our family, right? I mean, he made us, you know, make sure that we knew that we were the most important people in his life. You know, still to this day, and this is like a little, if I call, no matter where he is, no matter what he's doing, his staff has to get him out so no matter what it is. And so often since I've been young, right, I would call and it would be like, Dad, can I, you know, borrow money? Or Dad, can I borrow the car, right? And he'd be like, speaking with, you know, top officials and, you know, I'd be like, just don't say I called. But, you know, the thing that Dad has is he has empathy, right? But he's also able to bring people together and to surround himself with a great team and great, you know, people around him. He gets it. Dad just, he gets it. He understands, you know, going out, and that goes to his empathy. He's thoughtful. You know, he really takes time to kind of think, you know, things through, and he's a problem solver. You know, when he sees a problem, he's like, okay, how do we fix this? And so I cannot wait until there's kindness restored to the White House, right? Kindness and decency and, you know, so I am longing for that. And I think most of us are, right? We all are. I've never been so disappointed in my government, in the president. And so I'm looking forward to Tuesday.
You both.
I actually have a question of you guys. So of Misha and of Jensen and Jared. So what motivates you to be involved here and to help? You know, there's a lot of things that you could do. You're all celebrities. You've all been doing great. What gets you involved in this and motivates you?
I'll start just because I'm inspired by both of what you both just said. And one of the things y'all both touched on was empathy. And Ashley, you went on to say a word that is very important to me, which is decency. And so that's one of the things that, as a father, I have an 8-year-old boy, a 6-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old girl. And, you know, I watch the news, and that's as we're preparing breakfast or lunch or dinner or putting them in Zoom calls, and there will inevitably be some sort of like chyron on the screen. They're learning how to read, so they want to read every chyron, and then we're like, don't read those. And I just can't. I feel like both sides of the aisle have to agree on one thing. We have to have decency. And I think, you know, the empathy becomes subjective to some sort. You know, it allows somebody to say like, well, they're empathetic to those who want to express this value or this belief, and kindness to some degree as well. People can use it subjectively of like, well, they're being kind to their family or to their followers, or the people who heart their tweets. Whereas decency, I feel, is more objective and universal. And there's just something that's been severely lacking for the last 4 years. And that's decency. That's the ability to also say, And Ashley, your father and Senator, your friend and colleague, has for decades now expressed and shown decency and an ability and a desire to reach across the aisle, the proverbial aisle, but also to reach out to people that he doesn't necessarily agree with, but he listens to and values their opinions, because they also, in some way, shape, or form, represent a larger portion of the population than just that single person talking to them. So the idea of keeping decency, and there's a proverb, be ye kind, and just the kindness and the decency and the empathy, to kind of borrow the words, even though some can be kind of stolen by certain people. But I think decency for me is really what made it even more of a no-brainer than it already was, which is, let's just be decent to each other and to one another. And so that is why this is so important. That's the main reason, here and now, at least. There have been many main reasons why it's so important. But as we speak today, and obviously we are just a handful of days away from the election, the official election. So I feel like let's just desire decency, because we're going to have disagreements, and that's okay. That's necessary. That's necessary to figure out where the chips will fall. If you believe this and I believe that, and we kind of get rid of our subjective thoughts, then we can find a common ground. But let's remain decent in the meantime. And that's something that I think is very obvious, should be very obvious to both sides of the proverbial aisle, as to what something has been missing in the last 4 years of our political discourse.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just add to what Jared said, in that decency, absolutely. I think that's something that is very important to me. And again, as a father, much like Jared is, that is a quality that I really strive to instill in my children and in myself. And it's things that I look for in friends. But on top of that, going more into the political realm, there's a sense that I get that is you versus them, or us versus them, in this particular situation that we find ourselves in. And this shouldn't be a president that is just placating to a portion of Americans. I really like that the tagline that Joe has been using, and the fact that he's going to be a president to all Americans. And I think that is something that we have been desperately missing in this particular administration. It is not a president to all Americans. It is a president to some Americans. And those particular Americans have now gotten so riled up that they're going, ha ha, we win, you lose. Well, the people that they say are losing are also Americans. So what does that say? And I just feel like it's so divided, and it's been a greater divide than I've ever experienced in my adult life. And I just feel like we need to have somebody that can fill that divide, that can bring that divide back together, that can make us all feel like we're on the same team. Because right now we are not.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it just so I could fanboy over you, Senator. I'm so excited to meet you.
Misha's just looking for an invite to the
I just want to
the inauguration.
Well, you know who is in charge of the inauguration?
No.
Yeah,
I'm the main Democrat because I'm in the Rules Committee. So, okay.
My address, my email address.
Can I just say there's a pandemic going on, and like there might not be a ball, those kinds of things,
Hey, listen, I have a Bubble Boy outfit from about 4 Halloweens ago.
Not only good. I bet Halloween is good for you guys.
We'll
see. It's kind of a big
It
time.
used to be. Not this year.
This is gonna be an interesting time for sure. We'll see. We'll make the most of it.
My wife is
a Halloween pinata, a giant hairy spider pinata. And frankly, I managed before this call to get the glue and the black paint off of my fingers, but it's been too much work.
I once came in. I entered at the University of Chicago, which isn't exactly a party school.
I went there.
Misha went there as well.
I'm a U of C alum. Yeah.
Okay, so I went in a Halloween costume as the concept of Purple Rain, because Prince
I
is so
like
big
that.
and mess. Yeah, I had a whole purple outfit on, purple umbrella, this whole thing. It was so cool, even though
that's a bit esoteric.
But I lost to a guy that was dressed as the bathroom wall. Like this cardboard was written all over it. Okay, I'm really digressing about Halloween stories, but you guys are all on it.
Well, you can't do this. You can't digress on Cuomo tonight. So, like, please carry on.
You were gonna tell us about how you got involved in the show. I'm trying to bring it back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you for making it.
So, by the way, Misha was at when
you guys work together.
When Misha was at UFC, he went to a Halloween party dressed as a bathroom wall, and he won.
So, Jared, I am on Team Dean. I just wanted you to know.
Wait, Team Dean, Gilmore Girls or Supernatural?
There's only one Team Dean.
Okay.
Before we get back to that serious aside, I should say that I'm friends with the New York Times comedy columnist Jason Zinneman, and I was telling him that I was going to be talking to you, and he said that in elite comedy circles, I mean, I'm a little bit name dropping here, but he said that in elite comedy circles, you were known as the funniest candidate on the campaign trail.
Okay, that's really elite.
I'm laying the groundwork there for your best knock-knock joke before we're done here.
No, I don't have knock-knock. that is a really elite part of the stratosphere, but yes.
Okay,
I'll give you one. I'll give you one before.
I've done a lot of comedy dinners, right? But not now. Yeah.
I'll very briefly answer your question. But I interned in the White House under Bill Clinton, and I worked at National Public Radio, and I thought that I was going to go into politics. And when I was in DC for a short period of time, I realized that working in the political arena looked so hard, too hard for me. And I decided that I would go, work and tell stories that tried to shift cultural consciousness, and that would be my path to making a difference in the world. And it's really interesting for me to see how those two paths have kind of converged. And it's a fascinating thing to think that, I mean, not fascinating, it's bizarre that, three guys on a little show could, have the company of two people so esteemed as yourselves to talk about the future of America. But that is the moment that we find ourselves in. And for the three of us to be able to share our platform to get out the word about Joe Biden and about having decency and character be primary driving characteristics of our elected leaders, that is such a privilege, and we're just lucky to have this platform and to have you sharing it with us for a brief moment.
Well, we're also very, very grateful for you, taking the time. But I was, as you guys were going around and speaking, this president has been so reckless, just reckless. President Trump. And I was just thinking too, like, I can't wait to integrity and honesty is restored to the White House. I mean, people are dying, right? I mean, lives are at risk. They're out of work. I was just in Detroit, Michigan, and was listening to a room full of community leaders and people from the community that, are out of work. There's food insecurity. There's, kids are who have special education IEPs are really struggling with homeschooling. Whether it's housing, there's so many issues and people are really suffering right now. And I find this president to be many things, but for purposes of this, just absolutely reckless. Reckless.
Yes, and without empathy, I don't think that he cares.
He only cares about himself.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, let's not get me started on him because I could do a full, right? But
let's do it. Let's instigate.
Yeah. No, you don't want me to. They sometimes, when I get really fired up, they're like, "You sure you want to go out on the campaign trail today?"
Joe's supposed to be nice. His family's
I don't do well with bullies. I really don't do well with bullies at all.
Yeah.
So, and he's our president.
Actually, though, I think that's why you see a lot of women, a lot of women, I remember after that first debate when Trump interrupted your dad over and over again, and then interrupted Wallace, like I think 145 times or something like that. And then a few days later, Trump is at a rally and he's like, why don't suburban women like me? I'm like, hey, guy, no one wants that guy at their dinner table. So, I think that's a lot of it, is that he's just can be so rude, and he tries to bulldoze through everything, our democracy, people's respect for each other. And we just, as I said, we don't have time to waste on that right now. And yet we've got in your dad someone that is just a good guy. And I think people need that kind of peace right now, but mostly they want to know, especially I think the people that haven't decided yet. And you think all the people in Texas and in my state, by the way, that either didn't vote last time or voted for Trump last time. Mm-hmm. And they're stepping back saying, wait a minute, I don't think I'm going to be able to see my mom or dad at Thanksgiving because they got to stay safe. Or if some families, as your dad pointed out, Ashley, you're going to have an empty chair at Thanksgiving because they lost someone. My own husband got really sick from this. He was in the hospital for a week on oxygen and had pneumonia. And my dad got it at age 92. 3 of the 16 people in his assisted living died. And I remember standing outside of that glass window and looking in, and I thought, this is the last time I'm going to see him. And he looked so scared and small, and he somehow made it through, but so many others haven't. And I think for me to find out way back then that Trump knew when my husband got sick back in March that it was airborne, we didn't really know that. we just were washing off every surface, and he got sick. So I really think this goes way beyond party. It's not a partisan moment. It's an American moment. And I think when I see those stories, especially for Jensen and Jared from Texas and all the people that even with that one ballot box per county, they're finding ways to vote. They're doing it in person. They're showing up. Yeah. I just think this is an extraordinary moment.
And I also want to, being from a long time red state, that's starting to, what are the words we're using, lean or tend, possibly purple. I also want to take this time to extend an olive branch to people who did vote for the president in 2016. And there were a lot of promises made. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of things that were promised, and I didn't buy them, but some people did. But by now it's been 4 years. It should be clear to everybody that we've been conned. You did what it's fine. We all make choices, and sometimes those are not the correct choices, but let's learn from our decisions and learn from our mistakes. And I'm not saying that I was one of those. I'm just saying as a group to make it as bipartisan and apolitical as possible. You were promised a lot of things. This is the longest IRS analysis of all time for his tax returns. You can go down the list as far as things that were promised, things that were kind of bandied around from the pulpit that haven't been done. So this is the time to take your chips, if you're in Vegas, and go, what, I've lost a lot. I'm not going to lose any more now. I'm gonna go ahead and walk away. The promises that were made were not promises that were kept. Mm-hmm. Nor were those promises maybe what was best in the first place, but that's beside the point. The idea being that we've all been looking at a fraudster. So it's time to go, we need somebody decent, somebody who cares, to touch on what Ackles said about every American. And not just, and I will say, and I think, Senator, you touched on this, we were on a show for many years, and we're tall, white, heterosexual men, and the world has been very kind to us. I feel like I'm cheating, and I feel like the coach keeps on giving me more cheat codes, and I'm finally going like, dude, I don't need any more cheat codes. Like, I want to win a fair fight. I don't want to win because the rules are so wildly weighed in my favor that I can't lose. Like, let's make this fair. Let's help kind of make everybody have a chance at their degree of success or happiness or purpose or whatever that is. So I think it's just time that we all go, 4 years ago was 4 years ago. Look at this brand new. look at the record, look at what's been promised, and what hasn't been kept, and what's turned out to be blatant lies, and move forward from there.
Yeah. And Dad has, the thing I love too is Dad's policy platform is really thorough. I mean, as someone who works with, and works on public policy, from racial equity, all of his Build Back Better, right? It goes into manufacturing, and let's start, bring back manufacturing back to America. We're looking at clean energy. It looks at the care economy. So from those who are taking care of their parents, right, to early child care, so that every 3, 4, and 5-year-old gets early, child care and education, and also racial equity. We have a racial equity plan that looks at access, right, access to capital, access to credit. We have a criminal justice plan that's pretty comprehensive. And so, my big thing for me, too, is education, right? And really, my mom being a public school teacher, there's just so much opportunity here, too, right? And, tripling Title I funding, putting guidance counselors, social workers into schools. So we, stop this... we stopped the prison to school to prison pipeline. I mean, there's just so much. And the one thing I love about his policies is that they're thoughtful and they're really systemic. They're looking at also real systemic changes, and he's got, like the senator and great people around him, and so I'm really excited about. I do feel like, this is the moment, this is Dad's time. This is Dad's time to kind of bring people together. This is our time as Americans, but it's time. He is the one, he is the leader that can, I think, bring people together from, different parties and really bring people together, and also to kind of start to heal our nation, because I feel like so many people are suffering.
Heal our nation and our reputation.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I mean, we've got Jared and Misha and I have had the privilege of traveling quite often, and traveling around the world and seeing fans and meeting people, and obviously that's all been stunted this year because of COVID, but I still keep in contact with people overseas, and we obviously filmed up in Canada for 15 years, so. Our wonderful neighbors to the north, our international reputation is really sad, and I know that a lot of people in Trump's camp think, well, forget them. It's America first. Who cares what they think? Well, we're all in this together, whether you like it or not. This is one world, and it's the only one we got. So it is time for that healing, and it is time for that reputation to get back on what it used to be. A shining beacon.
People are tired of the whining, right? They want to bring people together, but he complains about everything. He blames everyone for everything. And what I like about Ashley's dad, we'll call him Ashley's dad today. I love about Joe is that he takes responsibility, right? He's taking responsibility for a plan. He talked about masks in a way that made sense to people. He was ahead of his time for leaders on that. And he's someone that gets things done. And the issue with Trump is he blames, when you said Canada, I remembered something with you guys. Sometimes it is laughable, right? He blames everything. He blames the country of Denmark. He blames the people that work for him. He blames Dr. Fauci that everyone trusts. But my favorite one is when he blamed the Prime Minister of Canada for cutting Trump out of the Canadian version of Home Alone 2. He actually did that. So, I mean, it is tragic, and you know how these things can be tragic and funny at the same time, but this is the time, and maybe it's a good way to end this on the voting. I mean, this is a time for us to just step back and say, do we want to put a guy in charge that couldn't even get the protective equipment out to the doctors and nurses when we're thinking about how we're going to get the vaccine out and the testing out? No. We want to put someone in that's actually going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Misha.
That is a beautiful place to end. Thank you both for your time. Anyone who's watching this, please make sure you vote and make sure all of your friends vote. The best way you can amplify your vote is to get your friends and family to vote. And when you're voting, it's critical to vote for Joe Biden. Remember that little caveat.
And I found that if you go to iwillvote.com, it's a really intuitive website, and you put in your name and your state, and it tells you if you're, registered and where your, polling place is. I can't wait because, this is going to be, so special for me. I had to go in person. I wanted to press the button with Dad's name. So I'm waking up at like 5:30 on Tuesday, getting to the polls, getting in line, and I can't wait to vote. So
do you think your dad's going to let you in the White House, or is he going to make you stay on the porch there?
He wants me to live in the White House. Yes. I don't think I'm going to live in the White House. I may probably stay in Philadelphia or, but I don't know if, but I will visit often.
Yeah. Well, my only problem right now is how to get these three guys into the inauguration.
Yeah.
Wow. That should be your major concern right now.
How about this, Senator? If I give you, so Misha asked for a knock joke earlier. If I give you my favorite one, can I get a ticket?
This would be called illegal, Jared. We're not going to do that. Each senator can get people on their
flow.
Understood. I don't want to break any emoluments clause.
But okay, well, you can give me a knock joke, but my staff is on the other side going like this because I have to get that TV show. But no, I want to hear the knock joke. I want to hear it.
Okay, here we go. Real quick. Knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting sloth.
Interrupting sloth. What?
Interrupting sloth who?
It's funnier in person because you're moving really slowly. It's really awkward.
We should have ended it before.
What about how they cut things out of things?
I apologize.
Have you ever had scenes cut, Jared?
All of my scenes have been cut.
Clearly, he has.
I had a one-man show. They just cut it all.
I hear it.
It's all free.
Right. Okay.
Bye, and thank you.
We'll see each other at a better day. I'm very hopeful, and I would love to see you guys. Ashley, we're so excited for you.
Oh, thank you so much for all you're doing. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.